Hello everyone, my name is Monar Mukul. In this video, I will talk about FirstSync and we'll do a lab session. So DataGuard FirstSync is a remote DataGuard destination that accepts redo from the primary database and then redistribute those redo throughout the DataGuard configuration. FirstSync is an instance. It has a control file. It does not manage any data files. It receives redo into standby redo logs and then archives those standby redo logs to local archive redo log files. The benefit of using here, you see that it's fewer disks, so less processing resources. It also provides the ability to fail over to a terminal databases with no data loss. So let's go through lab session. So first we are going to see Oracle documentation. So here is you see the release 21 and under database new features there is a FirstSync. Here is a new option that with DataGuard broker we can create a FirstSync easily. So I will do that lab here. So it is always better to go through Oracle documentation for better understanding and to get more information. So here is DevOps, my primary database server, and OEL75 is physical standby database server. So I'm checking database role both for primary database and physical standby database. So in this lab, I am going to set up FirstSync to the primary database server, but it's recommended, and when business oriented environment, it is always better to set up different server to set up FirstSync. So here first I'm going to set up a static entry for FirstSync instance in listener.ora file. So here you see that I have already added that entry. So I'm going to set up FirstSync instance is EAYMD and FS, and we have also add entry in tnsnames.ora file for FirstSync both primary and standby database server. So to configure or to create FirstSync using DataGuard broker, we need to configure secure external password store for the net alias. So what we are going to do, we are going to add these entries, sqlnet.ora file. I'll add all those sqlnet.ora to the bottom of this section of my video. So now I will configure secure external password store for all the instances like my primary database is a physically standby database and FarkSync instance. So first I've done for primary database. Now I am going to do that for same command, that mkstore command, and for standby now. So you can repeat this for as many standby database or primary database or parsing database. Repeat the process. So now let's list the credential that I set that up. So here we see that the credential for parsing primary and standby databases. Now what I am going to create a parameter file from the primary database and then modify for the first sync instance. To make it simple, first I am changing globally that EAYMD, which is my primary database, to FarkSync instance name. I'm going to DB name will be going to change DB unique name to FS, and all others I'm just disabling because I'm going to data guard broker. So like log archive -2, then log archive config, create all the required directories for first sync instance, and create an OracleDB entry for this first sync instance. Okay, let's make sure that TNS ping is fine. So put that entry here. Going to start up using the modified parameter file. Then I'll create a SP file and I'll start this first sync instance using SP file. So database is no mount mode using SP file here. And we'd like to make sure that we have put password file entry for this database. So we're going to set up a broker session. To get the syntax, if you don't remember, you can just type help command. You can get the syntax. So create function and then we give the object name. Then as connect identifier or connect string, which is the same name that we have put EAYMDFS. Okay, before that we can check that the TNS ping is working fine. Primary side all good. Let's check into physical standby server. It also looks good. So now we can execute that command. So you see that it's creating first sync instance. Okay, first sync instance name and created. Okay, now let's validate that one. So we see that first sync instance is created, but it's on disable state. So let's enable the first sync instance. So now we see that show configuration again. See that first sync instance is enabled. No message, warning message there. So now we see that first sync instance is created and enabled. So we can configure the redo routes for this instance now, or respective databases. So here I see the instance for show instance name. So here I am pointing that if EAYMD is the primary database, it will send the changes to first sync, which is EAYMDFS. And next one I am sending here that okay, if like first sync will send the changes to standby if like my primary is the primary database. So now doing a validate command. First sync object name. So here we can see that redo destination and what the member role when where primary is. Gap status. So now we are going to dropping down my lab sessions or parsing. So first I am making DD routes to as before first sync instance. So mainly replacing first sync reader routes to nothing, and now going to first disable and then remove first sync instance. They have remove instance or remove first sync name. So disable first sync. If we see configuration, so you see that the mass member was disabled manually. So we are going to remove first sync now. So first sync instance removed from the configuration. Let's validate that one. So here we see that first sync instance has been removed. So we have successfully completed lab session for first sync creation and deletion with DataGuard broker setup or DGMGRL. Thank you for watching.